So Marvel Studios might not have been at Comic-Con officially with their film stuff, but Marvel had a big presence through Fox at the show. They had Fantastic Four,
Yep.
Deadpool, and Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
And you went to the Fox panel.
I did. The Fox panel was weird and awesome and awkward and impressive. But yeah, there was some. Obviously, they showed Deadpool footage, but we're going to talk about X-Men Apocalypse first.
And none of this stuff has been released officially. Obviously, we've got a new Fantastic Four trailer that's out very soon.
Yeah.
But none of the stuff that's a bit further out. I've kind of seen the Apocalypse footage because it is doing the rounds online.
I liked what I saw.
I was really impressed.
Yeah. I liked the tone of it. I liked the introduction of some of the new younger characters. They all look good. They've since released stills of their costumes, which, I don't know, some people have been hating on, but as the footage went, it looked good to me.
Yeah, again, I think it's that thing in context, it looks better. And also, this is the 80s.
It's the 80s, it's 1983.
I quite like they're embracing the fashion of the time and incorporating that in the costume. And I reckon they could... Because Singer also teased that they've been toying with the idea of doing the kind of classic 80s Jim Lee 90s animated cartoon elaborate costumes for a while.
Yeah.
And almost like within any other context, any other era, you would just reject them. In that 80s setting, they could work.
Yeah.
I really want to see that.
Yeah, no, I think it all looks... I think it's looking really good. Like, I'm super excited. You know, I've really liked this new iteration of X-Men on screen. I think they're kind of they're finding their way, and I think this one could be the one. You know, with a really cool, interesting villain in Apocalypse. We already said that we liked the actor who's playing him, and this is our first chance to see him in action. The whole trailer was mainly his voiceover, really.
It's really smart VO as well.
Yeah, and it's really interesting.
Nice
him sort of talking about his history. He says that they talk about the fact that he's the first mutant. He's an ancient. He's been called. I write down some of the quotes. I've been called many things over my lifetimes. He was there to spark the fire of man's awakening, to spin the wheel of civilization. You were all my children, but you're lost because you followed blind leaders. And then he's sort of more angry towards the end of the trailer, and he says everything they built will fall. From the ashes of their world, we'll build a better one. And it's really ominous, you know. This is language of the Bible, you know.
Yeah, because he says I've been called Krishna and Yahweh, and it's almost a counterpoint to the Superman, who's just appeared and revered as a god. He's been there since the dawn of man, and has effectively been perceived by different cultures as a god over time, and now he's just grown to detest the people that have worshipped him.
And we really
so cool.
And we really got a sense of his power. His power is the power to control minds, and Professor X is genuinely terrified. He gets into his mind and says, "I've never felt power like this before."
And you control everything.
You see him kind of slam Professor X in his wheelchair across the room into a wall. And it was really interesting. Oscar Isaac. I mean, there were so many people on that panel to talk that no one really got a chance to really say much. But the brief things he did say, or Bryan Singer said, was that they see him as kind of a cult leader, which was really interesting. That his power is to kind of persuade people, which I guess Magneto and Professor X have tried to do along the way. But like with him, it's really pronounced. He kind of figures out what people's weaknesses are or desires are, and that's how he kind of gets them on side.
That's interesting, because for so long X-Men comics, and obviously the films have really tapped into this very openly, is this idea of two different ideological viewpoints on the whole mutant issue. And then this third viewpoint comes along, this third figure who is almost more tyrannical. That he is like, where both Eric and Charles can be reasoned with, and they can still identify with each other's viewpoints at times. This guy is just the third way. And he's like positing this final solution.
And I always want to know where Eric's at in these films, because obviously he's my favourite character.
Amazing.
And in this one, Fassbender just said it kind of under his breath, but like he said he's trying to lead a normal life and fall in love, or words to that effect. So do we have romance for him? Is he trying to settle down? And if so, I fear something tragic is in his near future.
Yeah, and also that's interesting, because I wonder if they are going to just sidestep it as him maybe being Quicksilver's father, as he is in the comics. I think maybe they are just going to fudge that and not have that be the case. And he could father other mutants that appear down the line. But I think what they do with the X-Men movies is so good. Like what we call it now, the First Class trilogy, or the prequel trilogy. I think the first two movies, I love First Class, love Days of Future Past, and I think they've got some amazing actors involved with these movies. Like look at the cast, it's brilliant, but also like some real acting heavyweights.
Yeah,
and like not that the Marvel movies have a lightness to them. DC are going super dark. I think these have a lot of gravity to them. There's they're dealing with big themes as the X-Men comics have always tried to do for a long time, but there's a real heaviness to them. There
was one question mark I had though, which I can address via this email from Adil Zubar, who says, I watched the X-Men Apocalypse San Diego Comic-Con panel and I was shocked that Hugh Jackman never stayed for the panel. Then I saw the Comic-Con trailer and he wasn't present in that too. Is he even in the movie, and has it been confirmed if he is or not? It would be such a shame, and that would mean X-Men Days of Future Past was his final, most significant role in an X-Men movie. His absence could be to phase out Hugh Jackman and get a taste of what X-Men feels like without Hugh as Wolverine. What do you guys think, and is he confirmed to be in X-Men Apocalypse? So I'll be honest with you, it was really, really confusing, because the panel started with him coming on, and it was kind of this awkward thing where he just wanted to say thank you to everyone for supporting Wolverine and like making his career, and then Bryan Singer came out. I can't remember the order of it, but they showed his initial audition tape, which is really great, and they actually had the moment on tape where Bryan Singer tells him that he's got the job.
Wow.
Because, you know, if you know the story, he was so desperate for that job, and he really went all out to get it. And yeah, they only unearthed it last week, so it was the first time he was seeing it since.
Him a career.
Yeah, totally. But then Singer brought out the rest of the cast of X-Men Apocalypse, which was full of new people, and then like didn't tell Hugh to lead the stage. He was kind of standing there awkwardly, and he was like, "What do I do?" And it really felt like they were setting up this moment where they said, "Oh, actually, come and sit down because you're in X-Men Apocalypse." Yeah. But he just said, you know, the last time, I've got one more film in me. It's the next Wolverine movie with James Mangold, and then that's it. I'm hanging up the claws. So it was really confusing, and he didn't walk off stage for ages. And then he said, "Shall I stay?" And Bryan Singer's going, "I don't know. Yeah, you can stay." And then he says, "There's no chair for me." So, and then he's like, "Someone get him a chair." And no one got him a chair. And he's like, "Well, shall I sit on someone's lap?" And I think Jackman was like, Nick Holt said, "I will, you know, sit on my lap." And then he said, "I want to sit on Jen's." And he sits on Jennifer Lawrence's lap. And Bryan Singer says, "Oh, I was hoping you'd sit on my lap." Like, it was quite funny.
That's why you're in that job.
Cheeky. But then he just kind of eventually, just after he got a laugh for that, he sloped off, and you're like, "Oh, so I guess he's not in the film." And so I don't know.
I'd be astonished if he doesn't have a cameo, but I don't think he is a big part. Like, strategically, I think they want to set up all these kids.
Sure. It was very weird though. Like, I guess if it is, then it's something they're keeping a surprise. But honestly, it felt like they hadn't even figured out what they were going to do on stage, and I think maybe he thought they were going to mention it, and then they didn't. Yeah. So yeah, to answer your question, no bloody idea.
Good.